Hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of DevHub Live. I am your host, Joe from DevHub. We got another awesome episode for you guys all today. Two big different guests that I am very excited to both have. So first up, Curate.fun, built by a team of longtime builders here at Near, and we're going to get into curating the news, what that all means, what they built, and all the different things that go into that and shipping a product. And previous guest too, Elliot Bream. He's going to come back on. We had a great conversation a few months back about some stuff that he has been just building in general. And now we're here talking about Curate.fun. Then the latter half of the show, the last 15 minutes or so, we're going to have Vlad back on again to talk about the recent dev quests and kind of get into that and do kind of a nice look back on how this last quest went and everything like that. There is tons of different news that has been happening in the ecosystem and crypto in general. So make sure that you're subscribing to our newsletter. It's out down below. There's tons of stuff that's always just happening, and we can't get to all of it on these shows. And so it's a great place to keep up to date with all of that. But without any further ado, I really want to spend as much time as we can kind of dive into this because this is a heavy developer focused episode. We're going to talk about all different aspects of it. But first and foremost, let me bring up to the stage Elliot. Great to have you back on again. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Joe? It's good to be back. I'm doing pretty well this morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's actually finally nice weather where I am, so we can't tell from my background, but it's actually really nice weather.
Looks real nice back there.
yeah. In space, it's great. Cool. So, you're always busy. Every time I catch up with you, you're always working on something. And the latest thing that you've been working on here is Curate.fun, and I'm very interested in this from a couple of different perspectives, but let's kind of start at a really high level. Like, what is Curate.fun?
Yeah, Curate.fun, it's a launchpad for community-owned brands and automated content creation. So if you know Nearweek in the ecosystem, where you can comment on content and then they aggregate that information and then they make a newsletter. We're essentially doing the same thing, but across other different verticals, other ecosystems, a lot of different media partners, and trying to automate that process as well.
Yeah. So where did this come from for you guys to start getting into this? Like it's a very specific type of product.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I work on this with Shot. He would be co-founders with him, and he kind of had this idea, I think, because of all the different ecosystems and what's going on, and trying to get some insights. Because if you can get like a overhead view, you can kind of be ahead of the trends, and you can maybe like figure out what other ecosystems are doing better or what they're doing, and then and you can learn from that, as well as just the work that goes into managing content, which I'm sure that you're very familiar with.
Yeah.
If you can automate or community curate, engage others in order to get more involved with it, like that's a big plus.
Sure. And there's this blend here of, obviously human curation and AI. And so I think this is to me, I like this intersection a lot, and I'm really curious about where you guys landed on some of this stuff, because where I feel right now personally that like AI is great for some things, it's also not great for a lot of things. And when it comes to like being creative or opinionated, it's not good at all. So is that kind of where you guys land, like, where you have this mix of some human curation along with the AI piece?
Yeah, I would say that at least my focus for sure has been trying to keep that human element front and center, because definitely humans make much better content.
Yeah.
If we show any content later, I can show you that. Yeah, it's something
Yeah, for
a
sure.
little weird. But also, one of the cool things I would say is that AI is able to analyze, and it's able to like sort and kind of like pick things out that you wouldn't otherwise be able to. And that's been kind of a certain direction to explore. There's a lot of, we've been building it for about a month and a half now. And every single week we kind of got something new that we kind of discovered that we could take it in, which is just kind of interesting.
What's an example of that? Like that's an interesting point.
Sure. Like, okay, so a main motivation of building that of building it for me personally was because I wanted to try out something with module federation, this like kind of tech behind the scenes thing that we can talk about. But I really wanted to explore that because Eliza OS, if you've ever used it, it's very popular for doing brand personalities on Twitter, especially. It's really hard to customize. And so because there's like all these different pieces that it's kind of like it's like this brain there and you really like can't dig into it. You're kind of stuck with what you have to do. While during building this, we've like kind of built out this pipeline. And through this pipeline, there's different transformations and distributions. And while that can be used for transforming and distributing content into various forms through different parts of this pipeline, you could use it for other aspects, like you wanted to have like a task monkey in a way, like you could submit to your own bot and it can go through this pipeline that has been established in order to do some other things. So it's kind of stuff like that. You kind of see how you can leverage this technology in a lot of different ways.
Is that, as someone like yourself, when we talked about this the last time you were on about just exploring new technologies, is this a good example where you both wanted to explore, but you actually had a product in mind? So like it felt like, okay, this was a natural fit to go the next direction.
Absolutely. Definitely. That's always like a great fit when when you have
Sure.
somebody like really product minded and is able to like knows what they want and where they want to take it, and then to be able to kind
Yeah.
of experiment with that too.
Yeah. With that in mind, let's talk a little bit about how this is built and what this is built on. So you mentioned the Module Federation. Can you just kind of explain like what that is and kind of how this is being implemented?
Sure. So the bot, it's a long running process. It checks mentions every minute or so off of Twitter, as well as we're opening it up to other sources. And then it goes through this transformation distribution pipeline, which is entirely dictated by a JSON config at the root of the project. You can look and you can see all the feeds that are in, as well as you can like follow how the content gets picked up and then what happens to it. Object transformations, AI transformation, simple transformation into like all these different distributions. So since we have this long running process, we want it to be able to like pull in more plugins in a way. Like there's this long running process that we kind of like, I wanted to isolate in a way, because that runtime can kind of be like unchanging in a way. And you can add plugins around it, which is exactly like what Eliza does. But with Eliza, you need to install the plugins and then you need to rebuild and refresh. You'll notice this on like Obsidian or other platforms that have plugins. You need to install and then rebuild. With Module Federation, we build these plugins and we store them with like this remote entry. So essentially all you have to do is load in that remote entry from the static file that's stored somewhere. It can be versioned. But we pull that in and then we make all the async calls that are needed for any dependencies or resources. So we don't need to install any dependencies in order to use a plugin. You just have to change the JSON config.
Interesting. So for like a product like this, where do you see like, or where have you already kind of started implementing updates where this kind of architecture makes sense for you guys?
I think it's nice because I'm able to have it on like running, and if there is an issue with any of the plugins, I can just like push the update to the plugin and it updates right away. It's also nice because if it's running somewhere, it's less to bundle, less to hold on to, less to worry about. But the real like benefits of it, I mean, I think it's really cool. I think it's something that I really wanted to explore. I don't think that we fully explored what it could be, which I think is when you open up like a plugin registry and you
Hmm.
could have people like mix and match, or if you wanted to like dictate a bot by a canvas, you wanted to like add lines to it and it would automatically pick that up. Or the other thing is AI generation. Like
Hmm.
I still would really like somebody to work with somebody that wants to explore how you could tell the agent, hey, I need a plugin for this. And then it just has to write the code for that little plugin. It knows
Right.
the interface for it. It doesn't have to worry about anything else. It can write that, it can build, deploy, and then it can just edit its own config all running, not having to go down for any of it.
Yeah, that's really interesting because right, part of the problem you have now is and everything is kind of forced to be context aware.
Yeah.
And so you eliminate that piece of it. And then two, I guess just personally, and this just might be some bias, but like I like the part there, like where the AI is not required to do too much. It's
Yes.
like, it's very like here's your guardrails, like let's just drop you in here and like you can kind of go. So I think that's really interesting too.
Totally. Yeah. Different than these and it's also, I think, like sometimes people don't really think about how uh inefficient it is to like
Mhm.
generate all this stuff, like an entire
Yes.
website or something with all this boilerplate. There's like stuff that's going on that has a cost.
Right, right, right.
Uh,
For you guys self, and when as you started to build this out, you're working now with obviously the Twitter API. You said you're going to expand. What is that challenge like? And I want to frame it as this, where we've had a lot of people come on talking about AI data, and like there's a million Twitter bots at this point, right? For you guys, like you are more on the processing side, right? You're not necessarily tweeting with it. Are you tweeting with it or no?
we're not yet, but we can, and we will be. We'll be like retweeting and replying with it.
Interesting. How how has that been? Well, let me actually ask this: are you doing this all yourself, all the processing yourself, or are you using now another service in there besides like the AI part of it? Like, so you're just processing it fully on your own?
Yeah, it's all on your own. Uh it's like a pipeline of these different JSON objects that you can watch, that as it comes in on that one, it will come out onto the next one. So it's all happening within the app. Yeah. But
Interesting.
you mentioned something about the Twitter API and the
Yep.
challenges working with it. And I think anybody watching this or anything that's familiar, definitely there are tons of challenges with the Twitter API and being
Sure.
locked into that. Uh, And part of a motivation with this project is like this free the feed, where you can create something like, it's almost, I've been calling it like social liquidity. You can kind of move
Interesting.
content across platforms, um, so that maybe a platform like Near Social or something, or like Farcaster, that might not have a certain type of content or something, it can kind of move around it and be distributed across it, uh, kind of bring it more life.
Yeah. Th- Is for you guys again, like so for handling this stuff and handling this incoming information, and you know, as you start to expand, is that where also to this modular federation kind of comes into play, because you now everything can be treated almost like a plugin?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we're headed towards a self-hosted platform. That's actually what I've been working on this week, and I was really hoping to be able to have it prepared. But essentially, to be able to deploy it yourself, and you would have your own bot, with your own account logins in it, and then also your own dashboard. Um, so you don't have to be limited to the Curate.fun. You can kind of use this bot and customize it in your own way.
And for you guys, I mean, as you're bringing this in and you're trying to curate this news and everything else, like, is the mission to, like you said, provide this data liquidity for everybody, or is it something where it's for you guys? It's larger, where it becomes not just a service, but a full-on SaaS product of some sort, right? Where you're doing that. Like, is that where do you guys see this going? I guess we'll put it that way.
Definitely. It'll be going kind of taken after like the Superbase model where it's open source. You can use it. You can deploy it yourself if you really want to. You could self-host, but we'll be providing a hosted alternative where you can subscribe and you can use our token essentially to purchase individual your curation flows, your content flows. Like if you want to buy a blog, if you want blogs to be created, or if you want podcasts to be created, that type of thing.
Oh, so you can actually specify like the media type as well.
Yep. I mean, it's limited to what plugins are created, and you can, you're able to customize the prompt as you want. I've been exploring with Luis from Mintbase. He's got this like Markdown AIM project where you can like write. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah. Yep. I'm not sure if the whole audience is, but yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So in the AIM project, it's essentially Markdown where you can like write out your Markdown and then have little bits and blurbs where it like does some sort of processing or something. So you're able to like talk to an AI just through a Markdown document, pulling into all these different things. I think that's a really cool concept for like content creation templates. If you could post and publish your Markdown, and then you could kind of choose which ones you want. You can kind of customize it. You don't really have to. It's as easy as reading Markdown. But yeah, so that's a direction that we plan to be going.
Yeah, that is really interesting to do that. Let's take a minute. Let's actually show what you guys have built so far, and maybe it might make it a little more clear for everyone too, because it is really neat. And I definitely want to talk about a little bit more about like how it came about some of the architecture here as well.
Sure.
I can show. You want me to show? If you can show your screen, that'd be great. That'd be easier to walk through.
Yeah. I think I'm requesting to share.
Yes, pulling up now. There it is.
Cool. Yeah, so this is Curate.fun. We have a landing page. Currently, we have curated, I guess, 1,500 posts. We have partners with 28. 31 people have curated, and we've got 50 feeds going. But essentially, these are our popular feeds. And if you want to curate some content, you can copy text that's like this. It's this submit at curate.fun #nouns, which is the feed name that is. And you would reply this to some Twitter content out there. When you reply, we pick that up on our dashboard right away. So this is like an example of a tweet. We can see, oh, it's the DevHub Live that's happening right now. That's funny.
Nice.
So on Twitter, Near Week, very nice. Inspirational and all. They have commented to submit to their bot as well as the Curate.fun bot with #near and then a curator note that they had here. And then our bot liked it, pulled it into here, and now it's pending. And I want to know what feed it was in. It's in the near feed. So now I can go in and I can reply to it with approve. And then we'll wait a minute for that to get picked up. But
can you explain the approval part here? So this is a little bit different than just it's not just anyone can just blindly submit it, right? Like that's the other side of this curation, right? It's not just I'm tagging something, but now there's another side of this.
Yeah, so anybody can tag anything. There's no limits there. but there are approvers designated for each feed. Excuse me. Yeah, and so these approvers, they have to approve or reject your curation. If an approver submits a curation, it's automatically approved. But for anybody, it needs to go through that process.
Interesting.
So still waiting a minute. But we've got all our different feeds. We're supporting really any blockchain ecosystem you can think of. And if it's not here, let's add it.
Because I think so. The important piece here, right? Because like it has something to do with being built on the blockchain per se. It's just like, hey, this is a tool to bring in information, and so the content can be anything. There's nothing's tied back to that.
Totally, definitely. And we're starting with Web3 mostly, but yes, it can be expanded to anything. We're talking about like there's one for climate. There was one I did a workshop with Yonkers in New York, and we're going to set one up for them, as well as there's like this rearm Europe thing that we've been kind of talking about, kind of instant war news in a way. We're in a different type of world. But let's see. I guess it still hasn't done it yet.
And so as that starts to come, is that where, as you guys start to say, hey, we want people to actually host this on their own, like what does that do to your architecture? Or does that become something where it's like you're giving them a package to install and set up? Like where, I guess, like where's the line of like you guys are providing the support to host it and ship their version, or are you just providing like here is how you deploy an instance?
Yeah, so what I've been working on this week was I've got some friends that work in site reliability at Splunk. So I've been working with them for like a Kubernetes deploy. So we'll do managed deploys for people. And we're building out, we have a new Figma and everything, we're doing a whole redesign of it all. So each one will have its own dashboard, and from that dashboard, you can configure everything about it.
Oh, so cool.
That would include, your approvers, your like submission criteria, as well as what happens after the submissions. Like, those like markdown template styles describing if you want to do a blog, an article, a newsletter, a podcast, a video, we want to explore video generation, also like image generation, all those different verticals.
What does your current architecture look like in order to do what it's doing now? Like where does this live? What do you have all set up for that?
Yeah, so that's been a little bit of a challenge in a way. I think early decisions kind of put us in a hole for a bit. We are deployed to something called Fly.io, which has kind of been a bit of a challenge. It's got not the greatest documentation, and there's just kind of some like confusing concepts on how they set things up. But it is ultimately, so this is just a whole bot here. It's got a backend, so it's just this Node.js backend. It serves the front end as well, which is this right here. And then it uses SQLite as a database, but we're going to be migrating away to Postgres in the next hosted versions. And that's kind of it,
Why the change in the database?
Really, it's because, you could go like two different directions. So SQLite is ultimately a file that's stored in, and if you want that to be shared across resources, now it's a little bit complicated because you can't have every resource reading and writing from the same file. So it's fine with what it is right now.
Yeah.
But when we're migrating to this hosted service, we're moving to Postgres. So every hosted will be sharing the same database, and then we'll also be adding Redis so that there can be a little bit more reliability on if a item fails, so that we
Mhm.
can, like, reprocess it and such. But everything will also be using the same Redis service. We'll just be prepending a different key in the
Got
code.
it. Got it. Interesting. The concept here of a federated platform is similar, but obviously slightly different in being fully decentralized. Like, why? I guess why that route for what this product is.
It's really just been kind of like it's been a motivation of mine, even like that's so after Boss kind of fell apart and all that type of thing. There were issues with it. Um, didn't make a whole lot of sense, but there were concepts there that were really cool.
Yeah.
The fact that you could have like this widget code that is stored and can be used by everybody, and you update it once and it updates everywhere. It's the same thing for modules and all that type of thing. Uh, and I kind of, I had been put on to the idea during that whole somebody, Bucky, in the ecosystem, he had proposed module federation as an alternative to the VM, and that kind of like sent me down this path of really following it. The guy that invented it, Zachary Johnson, he's really active. He always builds in public. It's really fun to follow. But module federation, I mean, these are used by these mega apps like TikTok, for example. ByteDance has hundreds of apps, and
Right.
some of these apps all have like a shop in them. And so rather than each one being a separate build, these apps just kind of reference the same federated module. And so when I think about the future of applications versus right now, how we kind of like, sure, like with AI, you can do Lovable, and Lovable can create your whole front end and all that type of thing. But there's just so much boilerplate there, and you're kind of like starting from zero every single time. And then you don't have like the same distribution as you could have.
Right.
It was part of some big thing. And you can just like really, you can simplify things, you make things more efficient. Like I just think that when it comes to like an AI developer or something
Mhm.
like that, I gotta think that federated modules has to be the way that you like really superpower it.
Interesting. Mhm.
Yeah, because the same concept for the plugins, being able to just like create a single plugin on the fly, like that's the same concept as any sort of UI micro front end that is on there. You can kind of customize and revamp certain parts of pages without having to do the whole thing. Yeah, that's cool stuff.
Really interesting. For you guys as builders, not necessarily the product. Like, where is AI sitting for you right now? Is it something that is besides, like, I talk about building the plugin stuff, but like just for your normal workflow as a developer, where does that sit for you?
Um, in my workflow, I actually have a tweet about this if anybody wants to check it out. But I like to use Klein in my. I don't have it open, but I do. I think like AI tools are pretty awesome. Like I don't really see, especially for having to like. There's there's just sometimes there's just so much stuff to like bootstrap. Honestly,
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
so nice to be able to just like click something, say what you want. You can talk about it, you can plan it out, and then you can like go and you can walk away. Like I went and I played pickleball, and I like came back and I had half of a hackathon project built, and like that's just
Right.
awesome, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I That's interesting. So for you, and like, is that like, is it now in your workflow in all stages, like you said, like it's part of both your planning, it's part of your execution. Um,
definitely.
how much are you though then like following up with what it's writing?
Always actually there's even more interesting stuff there. Yeah, for sure. So I'm my flow is when I'm using AI, I use this tool called Klein that's right here.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't have my own editor. I'm just using VS Code, and that's kind of what really attracted to me to it in the first place. Um, but in Klein, I like set up this, I have this memory bank. So this has like all of the context about the product, the active context for what's being worked on right now, progress that's being made on that. There's system patterns. So what I like to do, what I like, how I prefer code to be written.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, tech context for what type of stack it should be using. So
Yeah.
it will load this into the context each time. And then, I'm always doing code review before pushing or pulling. And there's a lot of stuff sometimes it doesn't, it can get caught in loops, or it just like, there's some things that are just like so dumb easy that you like, why even ask it to do this? You should be doing it yourself. But Shot had put on every single repository this this thing called Code Rabbit, which has been pretty awesome if you haven't used it. But
I've
Code
not
Rabbit
used it. No.
will analyze your pull requests, which is especially great when you're working with a lot of people on a team and like, I'm sure you're familiar with feeling the pressure of having to like review every pull request.
100%, sure.
So this will go through and it will do nitpick comments. It'll like tell you all this type of thing. And it'll review it for it. It's definitely like caught things for me that I hadn't noticed, or edge cases that I hadn't really thought about. And then of course we're doing review on top of it. But it's pretty cool, man. AI is totally the amount of effort I feel like that you have to put towards things. Like I have a lot more energy. I feel a lot more willing to be able to dive into things and do them because it like being able to do like these large expansive things take less effort. Like Model Federation to me was always like, because there's so many moving parts. You like basically need a mono repo that is like acting in certain ways with each other. That is just like
it's overwhelming. It's daunting,
yeah.
especially if you're, a primary. Even if you have like a small team or some people who are contributing, when you're like the primary dev on a project, or you are truly the solo. I mean, that basic stuff really like it's getting over that hump. And even for myself, I run into like I get caught up where like you said, those little things sometimes like I just don't want to do. I've done them 8 million times in my life. I just don't do it again. I've just had it. And so how do we get over that? And so I think some of those things are really interesting. But I love this code review. This is actually really cool.
What do you use? Do you use anything right now?
So I'm a big cursor user. I use cursor, but my flow is somewhat similar. I love it for planning. I'm really big on like really working through different ideas, and it's like that partner, right? Being able to like challenge me on things, and I try to challenge it because a lot of times it wants to just agree with me. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, I was like, no, I'm not right. I know I'm not right. And so I think it's great for that. I have found as I get into more complex stuff that I'm doing a lot more code reviewing of the work it's doing. And so that gets frustrating at times where I'm like, oh, I could have just wrote this myself at this point. I've done so much fixing of things. So that's like there's a sweet spot somewhere in the middle right now. I think it's going to keep getting better. But again, for me, as where I'm doing stuff solo, I'm pretty much nights and weekends, right, to work on my own projects. I have limited time, and so it definitely allows me to do so much more than I would ever have done in that short window of time. So it's a net positive, definitely for me.
Yeah. And you're so right about how it just agrees with you. It's like, please, like, be critical,
Right. Absolutely. Give me some kind of challenge.
Yeah.
For you guys in, integrating this further and growing this product, like what do you see happening next? Like where do you see this kind of going? Is it just getting it to where people can use it more? Is it actually like a marketing campaign to get people to actually more users on here? Like where do you guys trying to push those?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I mean, we're trying to validate and understand how people are using it and or want to use it, like what they so like white label, for example, was a request rather than everybody submitting to Curate.fun. People want to submit to their own bots or something like that. As well as the different um, flows, like do people really want to be commenting on Twitter, or would they rather it be something like a Google extension, or they
Hmm.
copy and paste and submit or something like that. So the path we're definitely going is this self-hosted service. People can deploy and customize themselves. Um, but we would like to kind of dig into ecosystems and how this can be used to really like supercharge marketing and content for them, uh,
Hmm.
especially for underrepresented ecosystems, or ecosystems that are finding it hard to get outside of their bubble. If these are all individual feeds, but we really haven't like explored aggregating several feeds, or
Hmm.
how you as the user could dictate what type of feeds you want coming to your device, and how we could build a engine around kind of mixing and matching and determining where that type of stuff goes.
That is interesting. Is that where you feel it becomes not just a curation thing, but actually a discovery platform too for people? Like if you know I'm interested in being a developer, it could serve me other content that I normally would not look at, like maybe something from a different crypto ecosystem, maybe from just a different technology altogether, things like that.
Totally, absolutely. We even have one for crypto jobs in here. I guess there's no curation on it yet, but totally, all those different. There's a lot
Those
of different
blend.
possibilities.
Sure, sure.
And then I guess I didn't like really show much, but like so we've been building these feeds. Each one gets curated, and then each one usually has its own website that comes into it that we've been building pretty quickly because of the tools that are out there. So this is one, for example, from hashtag USA. We also have Stablecoins Press. Have the one for ship posts that was made from ecosystem, and then there's so many more. There's
Oh, that's really cool.
yeah.
So let's, and I know this was something that we talked about last time you were on. I see that one. It looks like it's a Web 4 one, because it's on near that page,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So now that's where like we're starting to combine these different things, right? So you have this multi-federated model. You have some stuff that's coming out like that's on, um, on near here. Like, does this start to really change, like for you guys, how you think about architecture in the long term for this to become a larger project? Like, is it something like, hey, we could recommend more people to go the Web 4 route because now I'm not hosting another server, I'm not doing all these other different things, stuff like that?
Definitely. Yeah, there's there's things that that are changing with book for, especially right now. There's like fast data, which is kind of getting teased and launched out, which is different approach to saving data on the near blockchain, um, coming from the fast near team. Uh, but yeah, this concept, I mean, the Web4 concept is just so cool, and especially how every near account can have its dedicated website. And there's
Hmm.
something that's just like really attractive about being able to have a near account and clicking a button, for example, and you get your own bot, as well as you get your own site deployed immediately.
Right.
That bot is hooked up to that site. So there's a holy grail there that I'm kind of hoping to work towards.
Yeah.
But it's cool stuff, man.
Very
Uh,
neat. Last thing I want to just kind of end on for you guys as a team in building here. Have you found, as you are starting to grow this, again with the AI tools, but also like with what your mission is it something that you see it being mostly in-house, or is it something that you really hope to that it, I know it's the code I believe is open source already, right? But is it where like it becomes a community project, or for you guys is it actually something you can really push forward through?
uh, absolutely, the goal is for it to be a community project. The plugin creation was meant so that anybody could create a plugin really easily. We spent a lot of time on documentation for it. So on docs.curate.fun, you can see all the plugins that are available, how to use them, as well as how to build your own plugin. Uh, and it doesn't have to be in this repository. It can be anywhere, and all you have to do is you just like create the plugin, you publish it, you add it to a JSON config, and then you got it. You're good. Yeah, so definitely we want this to be a community project. We'll keep it open source. I would love to see I would like to build a community of builders around this technology that is right here. Absolutely.
Last thing actually just came to mind with that, and is that not just this concept of news curation, but is this also like where, as you guys are exploring this new architecture, that it becomes something that you feel can be its own, like a better word, like product in a sense?
Yeah. Like an agent framework, maybe? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, whether it's a framework of like, hey, if you want to build something that, whether it's an agent framework or some type of setup where, you want to be able to update on the fly. You use the example of TikTok right before. Like,
Yeah.
does this become something where you say, hey, we've kind of simplified it a little bit for smaller projects, that is vast, and that becomes something that you guys are supporting out there as well? Or is the focus just like, hey, this is how we use it, and someone could copy us, but like we're not necessarily providing this setup?
No, yeah. So we definitely the plugin service itself can be, and soon, just gotta find the time to do it. But it could be published as a package that can be imported into other projects. So it's easy for them to just go ahead and add plugins to anything. It doesn't even have
Right.
to be this bot. It could be any bot. Or
Yeah.
it doesn't even have to be a bot, you know.
Really interesting. That's really interesting. Well, I really appreciate you taking time and coming on here and walking us through this. Definitely looking forward to see more. What is the best place to follow along with the building side of it? So, Curate.fun is the website. It's also the Twitter. But what are you posting? How you guys are building there too? Is it just following you on your Twitter? What's the best
Yeah,
place for that?
definitely need to get into a habit of posting more, but you can follow at Curate.fun for main change logs and updates that we have, as well as you can follow my Twitter right there, Elliot_Brame, and I will try and tweet about this a whole lot more.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for coming back on, and look forward to see what you guys continue to build.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, Elliot. Bye. Great stuff. But let's keep moving, and we'll kind of wrap up at the end with some of the stuff. I have everyone's favorite, Vlad, with me. Everyone always gets so excited when he's on because he's always bringing something interesting, something cool with what's happening. And we had another dev quest that went well, sounds like, and a lot of great feedback again. So, how was it?
Thanks for having me, Joe. And yeah, I cannot tell how well the quest went. It's all about community. Community should have spoken, but I've heard something. So and today I will walk us through what I've heard, what I've seen, and what was the challenge all around. So let me share the screen. Um, can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Amazing. So this is where it all started. Hold on, not this one. So the timer is ticking, and it's quest number 3. I really love the output of Nirsi Lyras to showcase and
Absolutely.
invite people into something hacky to talk about and to take the challenge on. So with that start, we had, as usual, the GitHub link. And it all started here with the agent and the contract in the repo. And as usual, 15 year as a reward. By the way, you can always rewatch the previous quest, 002. The link is also here. And the agent and the quest were, and the contracts were implemented in Python, were fairly simple. But if we go to social media, we can see that there are some hints were planted even before the quest started. And there was a combination of near AI, meta transactions, race of slots, and game theory in one quest. There was no need to vote, but it was all planted.
Nice.
But then it all started, received by the community very well, and then we had some what's called spoilers without spoiler alerts. Terrible move from Eugene, but you could have followed it. And we even got into the point where it was traded, so the participation in the quest, because it required some registration, were sold on Twitter. From what I've heard, nobody used this offer, but it was still fun to see how there are different approaches and opportunities open up with the quest.
Interesting.
So, but back to the quest, if we start with we can see the contract is deployed to the chain. Nice. We have quite some submissions over time. And there was a near AI agent which we, as usual, is open source and fully visible, and just right under 100 lines of code in Python. And what it helps you to do is to basically get registered. And in order to get registered, you should have provided your GitHub link and follow some steps to first register with Raceless Loss. So you had to add this badge like this on your profile, so the AI agent could know this was the way to sign up and provide the information about your wallet account on Near. And link it together with your GitHub account. Then the next iteration was to register, and in order to register with the agent, you complete your setup on the GitHub side and provide your GitHub account, GitHub and Near account. And then the registration would start, and the registration wouldn't be triggered by the bot, by the agent. It would provide you with something that you don't necessarily know how to work with. So if you wouldn't start this interaction and wait for instructions. Yeah, so it should be a GitHub link. So in my case, I'm already registered, and I'll skip a couple of steps of interaction with the agent. At the end, it provides you with this hint. I'm not sure if it's hint at all to someone, but if you would go to where is this Near protocol docs agent, you could have asked the agent what delegate action is and how to deal with this. But the TLDR is that this is part of the meta transaction flow on Near protocol. So you can on Near generate, you can On Near, you can sign your own transactions and send them to the blockchain and get charged for the fee for the execution of the transaction. The fee is super small, but it could be still, if you have a fresh brand new account, you may have 0 Near, and you still want to execute some transactions on Near, even in that case. And for this purpose, to onboard users into applications without bothering them asking to pay upfront some Near or buy Nears upfront, the applications may decide to implement meta transactions. And meta transactions is the flow that allows the user to sign kind of transaction, but instead of sending that transaction to the blockchain, you can send that transaction to a so-called meta transaction relayer. And that meta transaction relayer would wrap your input into their own transaction and submit that transaction to the blockchain. And once that transaction hits the blockchain, it's unwrapped. The execution fees, the transaction fees, will be charged from the relayer, my transaction relayer account, and the rest of the execution will be executed as if it was executed by the user. So if you would find some of the early transactions that were registrations, where was it? I guess this one. We could see, let's check. We could see that the actions were delegated, and let me see if there is a good view. Yeah, so this user was sponsoring the transaction execution, and the transaction itself was from near DevHub quest frol.near to near DevHub quest frol.near. So how did that happen actually? So if we would go to agent code, we will see that it created a delegate action with the function call action in it to register account, some details, blah, blah, blah. And the receiver account ID is a quest account, and the signer of the quest account is signing the delegate action. So the delegate action was targeting the quest account, and it was signed by the quest account. And it provided this delegate action to the participant and asked them to basically sponsor the transaction fees. Joe, are you still following, or am I going too fast?
No, I get it. Yeah. So, and I think, well, a couple of things that is sticking out to me right away is one, just from a personal, I appreciate the way the puzzle is like, it's not direct, a sense of like, here's this thing, and it's like, I don't know what this is. I have to go learn kind of what this is. I can go look this up, and it's like pushing people down paths to research it. I think those who maybe do like escape rooms might really appreciate this, where like you have very limited information and you're just trying to next thing. This reminds me of that. But the delegate piece, for people who are not familiar with Near, I do think is really interesting, and this is a great exposure to that. Where I think you explained it very clearly. Of like, again, the transaction, all we're doing is providing the funding for it, right? It's still the signature still is there. We're just saying, just like your buddy at the movies, right? I'm buying your ticket, right? Don't worry about it. You're still getting the same ticket, but it's just being covered from somewhere else.
Good analogy. I really love it. And it's very powerful concept. It's still underutilized in Near, I would say.
Sure.
And just a sneak peek at the wallet selector. Hopefully, will change this in near future. The main and major user of this tech was near.org website, where when the near social boss was deployed there, and it was demonstrating how the UX could look like. I think we still are in the weeds of repurposing, extracting that functionality in a reusable component for all the developers on here.
Nice.
Yeah, and after you register, that's not all, because like that you just sign in basically. Yeah, and well, let me also pause a little bit and see and dive into the mechanics just for a bit. So when you when you're dealing with transactions and delegate action in this meta transaction kind of component, you always first prepare the payload, the request itself, and then you you serialize it to Borsch by bytes basically at the end. You hash it, and then you sign it with a key. And that signature is your kind of separate artifact. So you have the action, the payload, and signature, and similar or transaction and signature. And then you need to construct a signed transaction. And for that, the signed transaction is basically just a combination of the payload, the transaction itself, plus signature, but you need to serialize it again with Borsch. So how I do it here, I basically ended up constructing the payload for the action itself, and then I create serializing the payload into bytes, adding 0 byte, which is an indicator of the type of the signature that was used, Edwards curve, ED25 519, and then adding up the bytes of the signature. So ideally, we should have some convenience function here, but I couldn't find the one in Python tooling just yet, so I had to manually serialize it this way here. But the good thing is that after you do this, you have the bytes. You can always verify it with the near CLI, and that's what we will do in a bit. So I received this delegate action here. I can copy it, and I go to near CLI transaction, and I can do either I think I can do print transaction, but I'm not sure if it actually supports meta transaction. But I can go and do send meta transaction, and it asks me to provide base64 signed meta transaction, signed payload plus signature. So this is the something is wrong with the terminal after I'm pasting this long string here. But I pasted the whole thing that I copied, base64. And this now I'm acting as the relayer. So I will be paying for the gas. I can use my frol.near account on mainnet, and it nicely shows me the unsigned transaction. So it prepared the transaction based on the signed delegate action. So signed delegate action is part of the transaction now. This is what I provided, and this is what I just started creating here locally. So I'm signing the transaction as frol.near, and it will be going to the signer of the delegate action first. This is the target account. And then, if I will be signing it, let me sign it, send. Let's see. It still should kind of work. At least show me the error that the quest is over. So as we can see, my account was sender, the receiver was the quest account first, but then the delegate action kicked in, and register account function was executed by the quest account, on the quest account, and the error was registration deadline passed. So yeah, we are done here, but it was a nice exercise to show, I guess. But then if we, just to wrap it up, in the contract, on the contract side, we had more to it. So there was registration part, which we just went through, and nothing crazy. But then what we can learn here is that it stores the list of all the registered accounts inside the state. So just to remind you, we can always view the storage by making an RPC call. Yeah, this way. Actually, if you want to learn even more, you can go with teach me mode, and you will see that the CLI made one RPC call. This was it, nothing crazy. View state RPC call on this account, and we have the output, and the output has a list of accounts that were registered for this quest. So it's a simple JSON that we put inside into a single local storage key. And then there was a 3, 2, 1 go method that was waiting until the deadline of the quest is over, and then it would randomly choose the participant, the winner, from all the registered accounts, giving a bit more chances to the one who was the first calling this method. And also there was another chance, like a booster basically, for the first 3 registrations, or actually 2 registrations. So that's why on the list of registered accounts, you see some of them are duplicate on the list. And yeah, that was the quest. What I observed about it around the time when it was the deadline was set. As you can see, there was a tough competition with between my brother and another community contributor, trying to hit the endpoint exactly at the time. Neither of those two win the quest, unfortunately. Still, a random choice is there. So this was the where's the yeah, awoken.near was the account that was selected by random choice. And you cannot
Very
influence
cool.
randomness on near. It's there is a whole article about how randomness is a tough challenge in the context of such open, transparent systems and in the blockchain space, where you have no centralization and you cannot trust anyone, and you cannot trust them to not reveal their parts and influence the randomness in any way. So you can maybe near random near protocol random numbers. I guess this is the like on the conceptual level. You can find the details about it here, but there was a randomness in blockchain protocols article that goes even in more detail about this, about the challenges here, with considering several different vector of attacks. Yeah, that was it.
Really neat. Yeah, I think these must take a lot of time for you to do, but they really expose you to a lot of the different concepts that like you said, I don't think are being well utilized right now in a lot of stuff. And there's just so much technology here that, like, it's great to see different ways of how it can be used, and then hopefully it inspires people to then build with it as well.
Definitely.
Great.
And on that said note, I want to say that this week I will be passing on the making a quest.
Nice.
It's been fairly challenging for me as well to get it prepared
Sure.
and be online observing if some like if it's still up and running or I actually got something wrong with my
Right.
planning. I want to take a short break, but
Yeah.
we'll definitely bring something new.
Awesome. Well, I encourage people to, if you didn't see last week's explanation, definitely go watch that one as well, because the retro and the follow up is almost just as helpful because you get to learn all the different pieces, and it's like a nice little tutorial, some of the stuff anyway. So definitely check that out. And we certainly look forward to whenever the next quest comes out, whenever or whomever it might be from. So great. Well, thank you for taking the time, Vlad, to come by and show us that.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks. Have fun
Thanks.
and build on year.
Sounds great. Thanks for that. Awesome, you guys. You definitely check out the whole code base too. There's, as Vlad was showing, there's great little stuff in there from all the different quests that have happened so far, of just again like how the mechanisms work, and maybe it does inspire you to actually try it out on something else, maybe put it into your product or whatever else. A couple just quick notes. Tomorrow there is a bonus show that we are doing here at DevHub Live. That is a winners showcase from the 1 Trillion Agents hackathon. So definitely check that out. That's at 4 p.m. UTC tomorrow. As always, subscribe to our newsletter. All the updates are there. If you need help, if you're looking to build here on Near or Near AI, the docs, the links to support are been scrolling down the bottom most of the show. Definitely check that out. Otherwise, we will be back at our usual time next Thursday with another great guest talking about more development and building stuff from there. If there's any other topics you want to see, if you have a guest that you want to suggest, please reach out to me. My Twitter handle is on the screen, and we can see what we can do to kind of line that up as well for you. But until then, keep building, keep trying different stuff, and enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks all. Bye-bye.